Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, real football fans of New Jersey. I believe this might be our very first happy hour edition of the Real Football Fans of New Jersey.
I am ready with my wine for happy hour. Don't you worry. It's already Wednesday, but a long week so far. I'm sure many of you watching too already, we're halfway through though. So don't worry, keep powering through. The weekend is almost here.
Yes. So for most of you 9 to 5ers, your workday is hopefully done. We are a little bit early tonight with the show because we have work obligations ourselves later tonight. But for those of you,
the grind doesn't stop, people. It doesn't stop.
For those done for the day, hopefully most of you, pour a glass of wine, sit back, enjoy this early episode of the Real Football Fans of New Jersey with us. It is episode 175, and we have a good one for you. And we are going to kick it off with some great questions some questions that, sting a little and are a little painful to answer, but we do have 5 really good thought-provoking
questions. Hurt our feelings.
We are going to start the show with them. Let's just kick it right off. Question number 1. I thought this was a good one. Makes you really kind of assess the situation, take a look at the standings in the league through 2 weeks. But which 2-0 team will miss the playoffs? Obviously, you start the season 2-0. Statistically, that looks like a good trajectory. But out of the teams, I believe there's I want to say maybe around 8 that are 2-0 right now.
There's 7. I just pulled it up on my phone.
Which team do you think is most likely to miss the playoffs out of that group?
So just for everyone's awareness, right now our undefeated teams are the Raiders, Cardinals, 49ers, Rams, Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Broncos. So out of these teams, I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers. I do think they miss the playoffs. Really tough division still with them. It just a lot going on down south. And I just really think that they're going to have some struggles. I'm very impressed with how the Broncos and the Raiders have started off the season. So that kind of, if I had to go to other 2 teams in this mix, I'd go to those 2 and kind of look at them. But out of these, I got to say the Panthers on this one.
I was between the Panthers and the Denver Broncos, but I'm actually going with the Broncos.
Okay.
I think they play in a division where KC is going to win it, right? Mm-hmm. And then I'm actually very impressed with what I've seen through from the Raiders through 2 weeks.
Yes.
Obviously, they were my upset pick both weeks, and they won 2 huge games to start the season. They also play in that division. Mm-hmm. Now, 3 or 4 teams can make the playoffs out of division, but it makes it more difficult for the Broncos. I have been a little more impressed with Carolina. I think they play in a weaker division. I'm going with the Broncos here on this one. But question number 2, this ties in with, it's like a 2-parter here. Which 0-2 team will make the playoffs? Obviously, statistically, that's normally a hard thing to do, starting the season 0-2, but we've obviously seen it before. Caitlin, do you have how many teams up there are 0-2 right now?
It's the lucky number 7 again. We've got 7 teams that are 0-2. We have the Falcons, the Giants, the Lions, the Minnesota Vikings, the Colts, the Jets, and the Jaguars. Listen, in a beautiful world, the New York Giants make the playoffs. Let's do, what is that? We'll repeat 2016. What was that year we started pretty badly and went on to let's go and do it again. Being really obviously, optimistic there, but realistically looking at this group, I got to go with the Colts on this one.
Okay, Colts were definitely up in consideration for me. I really like that roster, but I just don't like Carson
Wentz. Yeah,
and he's already proving why other teams have shied away from him because his injuries have completely plagued his entire career.
Yeah,
so he could, even if he's healthy. What if he just goes down towards the end of the season and leaves them with whoever the hell they're leaving him with?
I think they're a team that can run with their backup, though. They've done it in the past. So, honestly, F it at this point.
Yeah, but I'm actually going to go with the Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
This is a team that I constantly put a lot of faith into, especially like the last 2 seasons, and they have never lived up to what I thought they could be.
They're not playing terrible so far, though.
To tell you the truth, this question is forcing us to pick somebody. I really don't like any of these teams. Playoffs. I really don't.
It's fair.
But you got to force my hand. I'm taking the Minnesota Vikings.
All right.
Question number 3, over or under? The number is 7. Over or under 7 rushing touchdowns for Daniel Jones this season. Right now, through 2 games, he has 2 rushing touchdowns.
Listen, I think they're going to put a lot of emphasis on his run game. And shockingly enough, I think I'm going to pick the over on this one. I think he's going to get lucky in a lot of scenarios. And let's hope not on Thursday night where he could have been at number 3 and they clearly took it away from him. But if that keeps happening, he's finding the pocket over Saquon, things like that. I think he's going to use his big, long legs and run his ass into the end zone. So I'm going to go over on this one.
Unfortunately, what we're seeing through 2 weeks is that Daniel Jones is the better run option over freaking Saquon Barkley, which is it's sad. But like you said, there needs to be an emphasis on the fact that this is a strong suit for our offense, and we need to roll with it. And I think they're going.
We went 16 seasons without a running quarterback.
Right. I'm actually going to go the over. And at first, to me, it seemed like a little bit high, but I quickly looked at 2020 across the league stats wise and saw how many quarterbacks rushed for 7 or more touchdowns.
Yeah.
But actually a surprising amount. It was like 4 or 5. There were guys like Ryan Tannehill in that mix.
Yeah.
So to me, it was like, okay,
he can do it.
It's definitely possible.
Good question.
All right, question number 4. How do we recover as Giants fans when we lose games like we just lost? And how long does it usually take us?
Well, I got to tell you, so to be like completely honest and like not trying to get like emotional or like very like angry like on this broadcast, you guys know if you've been watching us for the, over 3 years, I'm the optimistic one in the group. I'm always thinking that the Giants are going to do well. This season in particular, these past 2 losses have been very hard on me, like very, very hard. Like it is just like, Katie and I are never going to leave the fan base. We're never going to do something dramatic or be like stupid, like a lot of people on Twitter are being stupid lately. But it's just, honestly, it's getting to a point where like I'm starting to get very, very frustrated. So, but what I've done lately that's helped. So for these past 2 games, and then a lot of the games last year, I really go back and look at a lot of I'm not watching film because I don't have access to all of it, but I'm really going back and looking at key things too, because yes, you lost. You can just be like, fuck it. I don't want to talk about it. It's over. But go back and really analyze the game and really understand. So from week 1 to week 2, I actually do see a lot of positive improvements for the Giants. As sad as that sounds, because I'm still very mad about the outcome of the game. So honestly, it takes me, I don't recover until the next week when I'm given another opportunity to be happy or sad. But how do I cope? This is my new coping mechanism, is going back and really analyzing the game. And I do have to shout out our friends at Talking Giants because they do a phenomenal job breaking down every single game. They're posting all clips to their Instagram, their Twitter. So that's how I get a lot of it. So thank you to them. They do a really good job. But that's how I've started to cope with a lot of this stuff, because I'm really looking it down, and there are some positive things to look at. And some of the negative things aren't maybe as truly bad as we think they are in real time. You got to just really look at them in detail. So I know that was long-winded, but that's how I'm feeling.
How do I recover as a Giants fan? How long does it usually take me? It actually doesn't take me very long at all. I would say I'm definitely, as Caitlin said, she's the optimist. I'm the pessimist when it comes to the Giants. Unfortunately, I've become extremely numb and just used to the fact that this is how it's been for a while now. And to me, it's just like, yeah, I should have known. I should have known that this is how it would end. So I would say it took me maybe half an hour. I obviously was pissed as all hell when it ended the way that it did. And I was very heated and very angry. Right. And then I just moved on. I think it makes it a little more challenging where you see people throughout the week, and I had a lot of people this week be like, what happened with your Giants? And like when people bring it up to me, it's like annoying. It's like, we suck. Okay, leave me alone. Like, I don't need to relive it. Like, we don't need to talk about it.
That, yeah.
So that shit pisses me off. And that makes it the recovery like longer for me than I need it to be. But normally, like if nobody brings it up to me and I don't have to talk about it, like I could just be over it pretty quickly. So
yeah.
All right. And then last but not least, another annoying kind of tough one to go through. But do the Giants repeat their Thursday night performance or fall back in the trash? I was confused by this question because I'm like,
because we lost. Yeah.
Do we repeat Thursday night's performance? Like I didn't, but
there were some highlights from, I think, Thursday's performance.
We obviously scored a lot more points than we normally do as an offense. Let's think about that.
Daniel Jones looked phenomenal.
Daniel Jones looked good. Graham Gano continues to be the team. So there were positives. So do we see those positives again, or do we fall back in the trash?
We do see them again in week 3 against the Falcons. I'm convinced that the Giants are improving in certain areas. The biggest question mark for me, though, and I don't want this going in the trash, is our defense. Like, I don't know what that was because we're coming out of 2020 with one of the best defenses in the league. And now it's like
see the defense carrying our offense.
You already returned, like you all returned to the defense. Like what's going on here? So that's my biggest thing. So I do, yes, I see the performance, the positive things happening again in week 3 could potentially be better. I freaking hope so. But if it returns to the trash can, I don't know what to tell you, people.
Yeah. I think we see some of those positives again. Like, I really don't think Atlanta, Caitlin definitely knew Atlanta was going to be bad. I didn't think Atlanta was going to be as bad as I've seen from them through 2 weeks. This needs to be like a game that the Giants win. It just has to be. And so I do think we see positives again. I'm thinking a little bit more optimistically this week, and we'll see how it turns out. So,
the optimist in Katie is shining through.
She's like, it's the tiniest little snake.
You love to see it. You love to see it. Okay, so that is it for our questions tonight. Thank you guys, as always, for submitting them. We are live right now. If you're not listening on demand, we're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. So if you do have more questions for us throughout the live stream, go ahead. Don't be shy. Ask us. Football, housewives, wine, life. It's the first day of fall. Ask us fall questions. We love the fall. So go ahead and answer. Go ahead and get those questions to us. So let's start with our big stories of the week for football. So we are giving you our week 2 injury roundup, but this week, unfortunately, we have a special edition because it's the quarterback edition. Yep. Putting aside the quarterbacks too, a lot of key people in the league went down on Sunday, which was very, very shocking just to see the injury report on a lot of things. Let's dive into the quarterbacks though. So Tyrod Taylor, Texans quarterback Tyrod Taylor is likely to miss multiple weeks and might go on IR after a hamstring injury he suffered on Sunday. Jesus, he cannot catch a freaking break. So yeah, they honestly have 4 days though. They're playing tomorrow. So they literally had 4 days this week to figure things out. So yeah, honestly, they did get a 3rd round pick though in Davis Mills, and he came in for him for Tyrod Taylor on Sunday. 8 for 18, 102 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Not
to hear that it's not just like 1 or 2 or even 3 games. This is going to be multiple weeks. The Houston Texans really need to figure out how they want to handle this situation and if they want to be making any phone calls right now.
Absolutely. All right, hold on 1 second. I scrolled down my page by accident. Okay, so then guess what? We're going to Indianapolis because we already said it before. Mr. Carson Wentz, aka Mr. made of glass. I always joke, and I think I see this on Twitter all the time. I don't know if you guys watched SpongeBob when you were younger, but I'm like was the biggest SpongeBob fan. I still love it. The one episode is when they literally meet a guy who says he has like glass skin and paper bones, and like this guy just breaks his body every single day. That is Carson Wentz. Like he is that guy, and I see that meme all the time. Like they post that guy from SpongeBob. Like that is literally like you're made of glass. You can't get knocked down, anything like that. So he is not one, Katie. He has 2 sprained ankles following. It's just like, how does that happen? Come on. I don't know.
Only to Carson.
Do you walk? Do you walk on a daily basis? Like, how do you like just survive every day? So his availability this week against the Titans is very much up in the air. He did leave Sunday's game during the middle of the 4th quarter. So Jacob, sorry, I'm way down the line. Jacob Eason did go into the game. He's going to start if Wentz cannot start this weekend. So, but who knows? Because with his foot injury that he had in the beginning of the season, he turned into kind of a superhuman where he was out for 12 weeks, but then he got back for the week 1. So who knows? He might be sketchy in this.
It's not a long contract for Carson Wentz. I think it's like 1 season, 2 seasons. It's like almost good that you can maybe get a little preview of Jacob Eason and see what he's about, because I think even seeing what they've seen so far from Wentz, who cares if he's good or not when he's healthy? He's not healthy enough. Like, to me, it's like you're going to have to move on from him no matter what, in my opinion. I've already made up my mind. This team needs to be done with him.
But what I love so much is that this trade from the Eagles is going to come back to bite them in the ass. And Carson Wentz is still screwing them over as a team, because that trade is conventional on how many starts he gets as an Indianapolis Colts. Like, he has to play an X amount of games or have like X amount of things for them to actually, for that full trade to go through. Right. So even when Carson Wentz leaves Philadelphia, he is still screwing them over in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. So that cracks me up the most. This one hurts real bad for me. Miami's quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, he did avoid a major injury, but he still is hurt. So he did leave Sunday's game with bruised ribs, but it did come back. So there's no serious issues. And they're going to see with like the pain and functionality. But I actually think Adam Schefter tweeted today that I think they're not playing him in like to be safe. I don't think they're playing him. And someone can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure I saw from Adam Schefter today that I think they're going to decide to not start him. Which is, I guess safe, because quarterbacks are constantly getting hit in the rib cage. So, but that was tough to see. And I honestly I wasn't watching the game. So just to get that alert on my phone that like Tua was leaving the game, I was like, no, like you expect the worst. And then you obviously see that. So, but obviously I hope everything goes there. And obviously his backup is Jacoby Brissett. So I think I'm pretty positive, but again, anyone can fact check me. I think Jacoby is starting on Sunday. But okay, and then moving to Chicago, this is another fun turn of events here. So Andy Dalton did also avoid a major injury, but he did have no ACL tear or damage to his MCL, which is great news for him. But he just suffered a bone bruise in his knee on Sunday's game. So he did go out in the second quarter, and Justin Fields did come in 6 for 13, 60 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. So not the greatest, but still there. And it is just in that Justin Fields will be starting on Sunday. So we just shared that to the Instagram right before the show. So that is the news there.
When I saw Andy Dalton go out of the football game, right, I said out loud, this is the best possible scenario for Chicago. Instead of having to make the decision, do we play Dalton? Do we play Justin Fields? You're forced to go with Justin Fields. And to me, it's just like, I'm foregoing with Justin Fields and forgetting about Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is not the future of your franchise. No. Justin Fields is. I understand he's a rookie. Maybe you wanted to let him try to learn from the sidelines a little bit. But listen, Trevor Lawrence is out there making mistakes. Zach Wilson's out there making mistakes. Just send the kid out. If he makes mistakes, he makes mistakes. He's a rookie. You know who else made mistakes their rookie year?
Peyton Manning.
He had like the most rookie
Brett Favre
ever been. So it's like just let the kid go out there. I think he's going to be a baller, and I think he could be good for them. It's just like Andy Dalton is no longer a starting quarterback in the league right now. He's just not.
The players that you all look up to and you have shrines in your bedrooms of made horrendous rookie mistakes. That's why, like, listen, like, I'm not a Jets fan, but like, people got to cut Zach Wilson some slack. Like, seriously, like, he is his second game as a rookie. Like, pump the brakes, let's pull back. Like, why would you not want them to make mistakes? You can't be, you got to learn. You got to learn the NFL. The college and the NFL are completely different. You got to learn. You got to learn. Like, it's, so again, I 100% agree with you. It's probably like the front office management was probably like, you're not saying thank God to an Andy Dalton injury, but you're probably like, oh, good. Like, we don't have to.
Right. It just kind
make
of
makes
this easy for you.
Yeah.
I think it's the best case scenario. So that is the quarterback injury roundup. Obviously, pay attention to all injuries, obviously fantasy football wise as well. But let's get into our week 2 thoughts, things that happen. We were going to discuss, the Giants and the Giants Washington game that happened on Thursday night. But I think I feel as though we said enough at the beginning of the show. Like,
we set it up. You can go to my Twitter. I said enough last week.
Yeah, I think we're good. So let's move on.
On to
New England. New England has now won 11 straight games versus the New York Jets. And they defeated the Jets 25-6. It was a showdown between 2 rookie quarterbacks, Zach Wilson and Mac Jones. Zach Wilson, obviously, Caitlin kind of just mentioned it before, had an ugly day. 4 interceptions, but yes, let's all pump the brakes before we freak out and just label him whatever people want to label him.
Absolutely.
Jacksonville, this was a stat that really surprised me. I did not know it existed, and I didn't realize how bad it was. But
the best stats that you had no idea were even a thing out there.
Jacksonville has now lost 17 straight games, which actually ties the longest streak since the Detroit Lions did it from 07 to 09. That's bad. So not
good.
They could potentially break that record this weekend. We shall see. Buffalo bounced back big time with a 35-0 shutout win over the Miami Dolphins. That's obviously great to see.
That's sending a message. Like, that is sending a message.
In the division, which is something when Caitlin and I were making like our division predictions over the summer, we did say Buffalo needs to make it a goal of theirs to potentially sweep their entire division because they are capable of doing so. So a 35-0 win over Miami was huge. Our upset pick, Caitlin and I both shared an upset pick this past week. The Las Vegas Raiders beat the Pittsburgh Steelers 26-17. Huge win for them right there.
I'm very impressed with the Raiders right now. I think Derek Carr is back into Derek Carr prior to the leg injury. And again, if you guys have been listening to us for, almost close to 200 episodes, that, prior to the leg injury, like, I was a huge Derek Carr fan. Like, I was on that bandwagon. So good, so talented. Unfortunately, very, no one just breaks their leg randomly. Like,
Derek Carr to me is the player version of the Minnesota Vikings. Like, I see so much potential and so many good things at times, and he's just got to consistently live up to that. Fun fact, I had Jameis Winston as my backup quarterback on my fantasy football team. I did drop him today and picked up Derek Carr. Nobody in our league had him. So going to tuck him away for when Dak Prescott is on his bye week. But he has looked phenomenal through 2 weeks. Okay, Carolina quarterback Sam Darnold has his first 2-0 start of his career with a 26-7 win over New Orleans. People have really liked what they've seen from him through 2 weeks. He's been playing really well.
I think it just goes to show what good coaching can do to a player. I'm not saying
playmakers, though. He's surrounded by playmakers.
But I think the good coaching really comes into effect too. Like, the New York for the Jets was just really, really a dumpster fire, and it just wasn't a good area for him. Are they going to go to the Super Bowl? No. Are they going to be the best team in the next 2 years? No. But you can just see already the difference.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show people that the Jets were not his place. And he was going to get the hell out of there regardless. So,
yeah. It's definitely going to be the theme of the season for Sam Darnold to follow his progress and track what he does statistically to really determine, like, was it Sam Darnold or was it he was really on a ship?
And good for you. You go out and you show the world what you are.
Yep. Tennessee, they edged out the Seattle Seahawks 33-30. What a game that one was. But kudos and MVP status in that one to running back Derrick Henry. If you have fantasy football, my God, the man rushed for 182 yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. This is the Derrick Henry we are used to seeing.
This is my MVP. He is my MVP.
Performances like that definitely put him in that conversation. Dallas kicker Greg Zuerlein, he kicked a game-winning 56-yard field goal to beat the Chargers.
I hate that guy.
This was the one game, actually, funny enough that it came down to that, the one game that Caitlin and I split this past week. All the other games we picked the same. That was a rough one. So
hate that guy.
Yeah. Baltimore, they defeated, some might even call this one an upset. Baltimore defeated Kansas City 36-35. Pretty solid performance from Mr. Lamar Jackson. 239 pass yards, 107 rush yards, threw for 1 touchdown and rushed for 2 touchdowns.
Right.
So big win for Baltimore right there. Statement win. And then Green Bay, also another team that bounced back this week. Obviously, they had that really bizarre week 1 loss to the Saints where they only scored 3 points. But they bounced back this time in a game that, matters because it was a division game. They won 35-17 over the Detroit Lions. And Aaron Jones.
Shout out. He won me one of my
Aaron Jones.
He literally alone won one of my fantasy leagues for me. Like,
I ended up getting my very first fantasy win this past weekend.
Good job, Katie.
I won by like 10 points. And going into that Monday night game, my opponent had Aaron Rodgers and DeAndre Swift, and I only had Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones pretty much lost me my week 1 matchup because he did nothing.
He did.
People were pissed.
He did.
And then sure enough, Aaron Jones goes off for 1 rushing touchdown and 3 receiving touchdowns.
Yeah.
Ends up winning me my matchup, which going into it didn't look like it was going to happen. So thank you. I've come to realize how crazy fantasy football is and how every week it's just a complete and utter roller coaster. So those are our week 2 thoughts. It was another good week of football.
Such a great slate of games and so many questionable wins and losses. I know we say it every year that every season is like such a weird season. Like so many weird things are happening. We are already 2 weeks into this season. And I already know it's going to be a very weird season. Like things are coming our way that we don't even know, people. And you can just tell from the wins and losses from week 1 and week 2.
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, speaking about the wins and losses, let's get into our week 3 picks. I know it's going by too quickly. We're already into week 3.
I know September is like over.
I know. Like, pump the brakes, people. Like, I want more football. Stop trying to rush it. Stop trying to make fetch happen. Like, I can't have this. So we are going into our week 3 picks. As always, Katie and I pick every single game from Thursday to Monday night. And we also give you our lock and our upset of the week. As always, a disclaimer, Katie and I do not do this based off of money lines. We do not do this based off of any type of sports betting. We basically just tell you who we think is going to win that game. And obviously our lock and our upset, maybe that gives a little bit more into that game. But listen, if you guys want to do betting, look elsewhere. We ain't the ones for you. But if you want to listen to us, by all means, like, I don't know, like don't come to us.
Some people do what we do and they bet on straight up picks.
And that's fine.
That's fine too. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, you go ahead and get us started. I've got mine pulled up on my screen. So you go ahead.
Week 3, I am going with Carolina, Tennessee, If I am freaking wrong, it's not happening the rest of the season. I'm going with the New York Giants.
Guys, like she never does this. The fact
I
that you've picked them
never do it.
twice.
Ever.
Picked them
Twice
twice
through
in 3 weeks.
I swear on my life, if I'm wrong, that's the end of it. I put a
If
stop.
you're wrong, I'm blaming you on the losses.
Listen, I kind of like when I pick against them and they win and they surprise me and I'm like, cool, great. Like, I'm happy. It's good.
It was very close.
Carolina, Tennessee, the Giants, Kansas City, Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Baltimore, New England, the Cardinals, Buffalo, Denver, Las Vegas, Minnesota, the Buccaneers, Green Bay, and Dallas. My lock is the Arizona Cardinals over the Jacksonville Jaguars. And my upset, I give them a lot of love. Let's make it happen. The Minnesota Vikings over the Seattle Seahawks.
All right. We are out of order again. I don't know if anyone's watched me. I was trying.
Do it on NFL.com. That's what I do every single week.
Well, no, now I do it on ESPN because that's where I get the screenshot for our post. So it's just easier for me to do it that way.
Okay.
I know. It's annoying. But I think we had a decent amount.
Okay.
Maybe not. I think I'm all over the place, to be honest. All righty. So I am going with Carolina, Buffalo, the Browns, Baltimore, Tennessee, Kansas City, New England. I am going with the New York Giants, the Bengals, Arizona, Denver, the Las Vegas Raiders, Tampa Bay, Seattle, the 49ers, and Dallas. My lock is the Arizona Cardinals over the Jacksonville Jaguars, like you. And my upset, and I guess it's technically an upset still, the New England Patriots over the New Orleans Saints. Is that technically an upset or no?
No.
And I'm going with the Bengals over the Steelers. That's my upset, I guess.
That's an upset. That's definitely
the Patriots over the Saints isn't an upset?
No. It's not Drew Brees playing anymore. I feel as though they're very evenly, like, just completely.
I guess I'm still just not over the week one.
I would definitely call Cincy over Pittsburgh an upset.
All right, we'll go with that.
And we have 3 games difference. So we are very, very similar and very close again this week.
All right.
All right. Well, those are our week 3 picks. We're going to get into more week 3 predictions actually in our game. But right now we're going to do our big stories of the week in the world of housewives. This one kind of makes Caitlin and I chuckle a little bit, but it is about the Real Housewives of New York. The season 13 reunion has officially been canceled. We got word that for the first time, which I actually didn't know that this was a stat, for the first time in Housewives history, a season will end without a reunion, as Bravo has officially confirmed the cancellation of Roni's season 13 reunion. The network, this is what makes us chuckle, the network cited scheduling challenges around taping in a timely manner as the reason for why they canceled it.
That is bullshit. Like, Katie, I've never heard more of a bullshit statement ever. Yeah. Ever.
Yeah. They knew it was a rough season. They knew it was bad. They knew that Ramona didn't want to be asked a lot of questions about what happened.
She even threatened not to go, I think.
To go. People were saying, oh, Bravo's just trying to protect Ramona so she doesn't have to say this or say that. It was, I think it just became a season that they literally want to throw in the trash and forget about and like not revisit like ever again.
Right.
So earlier in the month, a production, like this was just like 2-3 weeks ago, a production source told People Magazine that the reunion, although delayed, would still be filmed. And Ebony also confirmed a few weeks ago that she was told that they were going to have a reunion. Obviously, that's not happening. And now with the news, Leah made a statement basically saying she was relieved to not have to relive things from a year ago. Leah also referenced how she felt the season had been unfairly torn apart and that they had gone through the ringer while filming and also while it was airing, because obviously people were very unhappy with this season. Ratings were uncharacteristically low, and the August 31st finale had just under 850,000 viewers compared to 1.1 million who tuned in for last season's finale. Caitlin and I did the fact that the finale was on August 31st. I looked, I think it was last week, I had texted Caitlin and I was like, okay, I'm going to watch Roni because I literally don't know how many episodes I'm behind. And like, this is a homework assignment, but I've got to like actually watch it. And I looked and I was 5 episodes behind. I watched 2. So now I think I'm 3 behind. But Caitlin and I couldn't even tell you, like, we didn't know when it ended. We didn't realize it was over.
There was no post of it ending. There were like literally, and like, Katie and I definitely, like, we obviously spend a lot of time with football, with the housewives. Like, we obviously do our homework like we're supposed to and watch everything and things like that. You know, it's bad when and we're dedicated to this, but like those, like a lot of those Bravo accounts are like over the top dedicated. Like, I don't think these people have like full-time jobs. Like, that's all they do. Like, they're addicted to it and they give you everything. I didn't even see from them when there was a freaking finale, when there was anything like that. Like, they went radio silent when things started getting bad, and things started getting bad at the episode that you picked up on, Katie, with the Black Shabbat.
Ooh, oh my gosh.
It was so bad.
And I was like, holy crap, I really cannot watch this. Not only was
was the episode I stopped. I couldn't.
Not only was it homework just to hit the play button, but then it became torture. Literally. To actually physically sit there and watch and listen. It was awful.
It wasn't good.
Hands down one of if not the worst seasons across the board for any franchise that I've seen. And I think the problem is Roni is held in such a high regard. It's our favorite franchise.
Right.
And so when the expectations are as high as they are, and to see how shit it was this season, it makes it even more extreme of how disappointing it was.
Absolutely.
So I'm actually completely okay. I know there's a lot of seasons that we even enjoy of Housewives, but when it comes to the reunion, Caitlin's kind of like exhausted and we're over it, and we don't want to like rehash certain shit and like listen to the drama and the fighting and the yelling and the 3 parts of the reunion. I'm actually very happy with this decision,
right?
Because listen, I wouldn't
have watched it, to be honest. I mean, for the show, I probably would have watched it.
But. Yeah, but it would have been absolutely brutal. So I'm really glad we don't have to do that. So.
Yeah, but like, just don't lie, Bravo. Like, you canceled it because it sucked.
Own your shit. You know it was really bad. Just own it.
Own it and let us know that you're doing better and you're going to get with like next season's going to be good. Or you're taking a hiatus and 2 years from now, it's going to be really good. Like, just let us know the truth. Like, bring Dorinda back. It's not a big deal. Like, just bring her back. So, well, in other Housewives news, and a franchise that are near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, and everyone friggin' loves this franchise. So, but there's a shakeup. We're going down south to Atlanta. So for season 14, there is potentially a cast shakeup going on. So according to Radar Online, the Real Housewives of Atlanta will reportedly be losing 2 of its biggest stars for season 14, Portia Williams and Cynthia Bailey. So Cynthia Bailey, these are 2 like astronomical names that are being thrown out as not coming back for season 14. But we are seeing that a new person, Sonia Richards, so she is the former, she's the wife of former New York Giant Aaron Ross. So people, there you go. There's the tie-in. Football, Housewives, football. Yeah. So she is joining the cast. So, but it doesn't make up for that. Listen. Portia and Cynthia gone is like massive. Like, even if you don't watch Atlanta, like, you know who those 2 ladies are. Yeah. You know them. So honestly, if everything goes well with Sonia, she will become a full-time cast member. Bravo wants to see though how she resonates with our audience. So all of us with the Bravo audience.
We could have done that with Ebony. And I get that they couldn't because only 5 of them. So they needed her to be a full-time. But I wish we could have just had a sampling of Ebony as a friend, and then just decided from there.
Right.
So
a lot of great background on Sonia. So because she has the track star, she's 36 years old. She has won 3 consecutive gold medals in the 4x400 meter relay in the 2004, 2008, and 2012 Olympics. So hell yeah, girl! I can't wait to see her on the screen. But she was forced to retire, unfortunately, in 2016 due to an injury. And then she joined NBC as a track and field analyst. So as many of you probably know, you've seen her on the screen before. You know who she is. So she'll be a very familiar face in the Atlanta cast for sure. Yeah. So then also Cherie Whitfield, Whitfield, I'm right, is reportedly coming back. So Cherie was an OG member until season 4, took a break, came back. Listen, we all know ladies that have done it very successfully. So she was a friend in season 8, but then left again after season 10. So with Cynthia and Portia, though, it's reported that Cynthia wasn't asked back, and then Portia wants to move on and do her own spin-off show. So that's that. I mean, those are 2 big names leaving a franchise. So
it's also tricky because these reports, as we like to state, come from Radar Online. Sometimes they're outlandish. That's why we always reference that these are reports and not facts. But those are the rumors right now. And obviously they're big time rumors. So we'll see what happens with it. And when we do have actual legit facts, like in black and white, we'll definitely share it with you and keep you up to date on what's going to happen with this franchise.
Absolutely.
All right, let's get into our game for tonight. As I said, it is football related. It does have to do with some week 3 predictions in the NFL season. The game is called 16 Games, 16 Stat Takes. Who you got? So basically what we're doing is heading into week 3, we're going to take a look at each NFL game and decide which player will outperform the other. So these are all offensive positions, whether we're comparing quarterbacks, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. But yeah, obviously 16 games, 16 matchups to choose between. So we are starting with our Thursday night matchup of Carolina at Houston. Who do you think will have the better game, Carolina wide receiver DJ Moore or Houston Texans wide receiver Brandon Cooks?
So this matchup is so interesting because their stats are almost identical to each other. I think you're talking like 1 less yard here. It's honestly super identical. You look at the defenses on both teams. Those are almost identicals. And then you want to throw the quarterbacks into the mix. And this is where I made my decision because Tyrod Taylor is out. Their quarterbacks were almost identical. So on 3 measurements, looking at these 2 individuals, the teams were almost identical. But I have to give it's actually a little bit of a higher edge to Carolina wide receiver DJ Moore because Tyrod Taylor is not playing in the game. So I do not know Davis Mills is that? Yeah, I'm not really sure how he's going to do in prime time. So that is what led me to go to Moore on this one.
Yeah, literally I went for the same exact reason. Carolina wide receiver DJ Moore. My little note is I just don't like Houston's quarterback situation. Not only is it difficult and a challenge for Davis Mills, but he's doing it on a short week. So yeah, this kid can try to prepare all he wants, but it's going to be a rough situation for him. And for that, I had to go with DJ Moore. Number 2, Indianapolis will be on the road at Tennessee. Who do you like better? Indianapolis wide receiver Michael Pittman Jr., who's off to a nice start this season, or Tennessee wide receiver, the vet in Julio Jones?
Listen, Julio's going to spark eventually this season. We're going to see that OG Julio Jones come out. I unfortunately don't think it's going to be this week. I think I'm going to give this one to Michael Pittman, only because I'm really just not thrilled with Tennessee's defense so far. You have Derrick Henry. Like I said, Julio Jones going to spark eventually. Maybe Ryan Tannehill will get back into the swing of things. You can't have that offense carry you. I'm just not 100% thrilled with them. So if you're going to make that connection, I think, he'll just do a little bit better. Obviously, it's QB pending in Indianapolis, but I'm still just going to give the edge over to Pittman here.
Now, I went with Tennessee wide receiver Julio Jones, with my note being I think Indianapolis will run the ball a lot with Wentz banged up. I think Wentz is going to play, but I think if he's out there, like, they're not going to try to put too much pressure on him. I think they're going to they have a great run game with Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines. I think they should really focus on that to make sure Wentz is upright and healthy. And so for that reason, I think Tennessee will air the ball out more. I'm going with Julio Jones. All right, matchup number 3. We have our New York Giants playing the Atlanta Falcons. The Giants will be at home. Who do we like better? Who will have the better game? Atlanta quarterback Matt Ryan or New York Giants quarterback Daniel Jones?
I am going with Danny Dimes on this point because let him live up to the hype of tossing dimes. The Falcons are giving up to upwards to 40 points per game. The Giants offense has to go off, and they're going to go off because of Daniel Jones on this Sunday. So I'm going to go and give it to him on this one.
You guys know I'm totally not biased, but I'm also going with Daniel Jones on this one. And reason being is Matt Ryan has looked real bad this season so far. And honestly, Daniel Jones has actually been playing decent. Like he hasn't been playing poorly.
No.
So I'm going with Daniel Jones on this one. All right, number 4, the Los Angeles Chargers on the road against the Kansas City Chiefs. Who do we like better? Chargers running back Austin Eckler or Kansas City running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
I know this from experience because he's on my fantasy team. Unfortunately, Clyde Edwards-Helaire hasn't gone off yet. He hasn't been showing us his true rookie colors in his sophomore season so far. So I'm going to go with Austin Eckler on this one.
I went with Austin Eckler as well. If you actually match them up against each other statistically, Eckler is averaging 4.6 yards per rush versus Clyde's 3.3. Eckler is also used a lot more in the pass game. And for that, I'm going with him. Number 5, this will count as Caitlin's upset pick. We've got the Cincinnati Bengals on the road against the Pittsburgh Steelers. So who's winning that quarterback battle? Do we like Cincinnati quarterback Joe Burrow or Pittsburgh quarterback Ben Roethlisberger?
I mean, I guess I'm technically going against my pick of the week, but a quarterback could still do better. The win can still happen. The Steelers defense is very, very good. So it's really hard to pick, Joe Burrow coming off of an injury in his 3rd game coming back. Your veteran in Ben Roethlisberger. So I'm going with Ben Roethlisberger. It was just hard for me to pick Joe Burrow in this case.
Yeah, honestly, like we're making these decisions based on a lot of the same philosophies and thought process. I'm picking Ben Roethlisberger strictly because I think Burrow is going to get sacked and pressured a lot more facing a really tough Pittsburgh Steelers defense. All right, number 6, Chicago at Cleveland. Do we like Chicago tight end Cole Kmet or Cleveland tight end David Njoku?
Another set of people that their stats are very much identical and very close to each other. But I am just going to give the side end to David Njoku because I like Cleveland's offense a little bit better. And I think entering week 3, maybe this is the time, I know Baker has his guys. Jarvis Landry, unfortunately, did go out with an injury last week, so they might have to put their tight ends in a little bit more of the mix here. So that's why I'm going to give the edge there. I'm
going with Njoku as well. Kmet was only targeted 1 time last game and had 0 yards last game. He was a ghost last week, and Njoku is going to be more in the mix. Number 7, Baltimore Ravens at Detroit Lions. Another set of tight ends. Do we like Baltimore tight end Mark Andrews? These are 2 great tight ends here. Or Detroit tight end TJ Hawkinson?
It's funny because I know this question was asked before the season even started from a fantasy perspective, who is better? Who would you start, sit, things like that. And I always went with Hawkinson over Andrews. I understand the skill set between both of them, but with a team like the Lions, where maybe their, skilled areas are a little bit more limited. And I know the Ravens have a couple of, hiccups now in the running back area. So they might be relying on their tight ends a little bit more and their wide receivers and Lamar Jackson. But I still I really like Hawkinson in Detroit. And it showed on Monday that he did great things for them. While they did lose, he was still there for Goff when he needed to be. So I'm going to go with Hawkinson on this one.
Mark Andrews is a phenomenal tight end, and I actually don't think he's been performing up to the level that he should be through 2 games. But I'm also going with Hawkinson. Hawkinson has double the amount of receptions, plus more yards, more touchdowns. He's just, simply put, doing more. So I had to go with him. All right, number 8, New Orleans at New England. Do we like New Orleans running back Alvin Kamara or New England running back Damian Harris?
I like both of these running backs, to be honest, but I'm looking at their quarterbacks in these situations because I think Jameis and Mac Jones both like to launch the ball and like to really throw it. Who is a little bit more accurate with their cannon? I know it's only his rookie season, 2 games in, but Mac Jones has a phenomenal deep ball. He is accurate. He throws a very hard pass, and I love his shots downfield. That being said, I don't think the Patriots are going to super rely on the running game too much. So I'm actually going with Alvin Kamara because he is a veteran runner. If Jameis's long throws aren't working out, they got to go to the run game. So I'm going to go with Kamara on this one.
Kamara is obviously the better player. There's no question about that, like in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
But funny enough, Alvin Kamara this past week, fantasy-wise, was like the Aaron Jones of week 1.
I know, yeah.
Absolutely nothing. Right. He killed people in fantasy. And Damian Harris has been quite a nice surprise for New England. He's really he's not a household name, but he's been running like he's Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara. I've been very impressed with him, and I think he's going to keep it up. And I actually went with him in this matchup.
All right.
Number 9, Arizona at Jacksonville. Arizona running back Chase Edmonds or Jacksonville running back James Robinson?
To be honest, I really just based this on the competition this weekend because I do think the Cardinals they might potentially shut out Jacksonville. With that being said, I'm going with running back Chase Edmonds for Arizona because I just think in that grand scheme of things, he's just going to perform better.
I actually went with running back James Robinson. Edmonds splits more of his carries, I feel like. And I think Arizona's pass attack is going to be the bigger factor over them running the ball. So for that reason, I went with James Robinson. Number 10, Washington at Buffalo. We got 2 really phenomenal wide receivers here. Washington wide receiver Terry McLaurin or Buffalo wide receiver Stephon Diggs?
Well, listen, Washington is still dealing, with a backup quarterback with Heineke. He's not playing poorly, but, still there. So got to figure a lot of that new offensive strategy and just understanding there. Josh Allen finally found his feet again last week after a random first, week 1, very questionable. Didn't really know what was going on there. Him to Stephon Diggs is just a beautiful thing. It's always going to be a beautiful thing. So I'm going to go with Stephon Diggs on this one.
I went with Stephon Diggs. He hasn't been shut out, but he hasn't had his first big 100+ yard receiving game.
So maybe this is it.
I think we're due for it. I know Washington has a phenomenal defense, but I just feel as though we are due for a big game from Steph Diggs, and I think this is going to be it. Number 11, the New York Jets at Denver Broncos. New York Jets wide receiver Corey Davis or Denver wide receiver Cortland Sutton, who, by the way, is on my fantasy team. Got a weird little pop-up that he's questionable now. And I tried to Google it and see what's going on. And at the time, this was 2 hours ago, I didn't see anything about it yet.
Yeah.
So we live in a world where he's healthy. Who did you go with when you made this decision?
And sometimes that'll happen. Even the smallest things will make someone questionable. It'll be he sat out for 5 minutes of practice or he claimed after practice his ankle was a little bit sore. So I think in the fantasy world, people get so anal about things. They're you better let me know every little detail. So it could have been the most minor thing in the world. But I understand last week was a little bit of a slump for Corey Davis after coming off a really good week 1. But I think week 3, he'll continue to, move on up and do the Corey Davis things we know. So I'm going with Corey Davis on this one.
I went with Cortland Sutton. Through 2 weeks, both of these wide receivers were very similar in that they both had one monster game and then one game where they just disappeared. They were not a factor whatsoever. This one comes down to me liking Teddy Bridgewater over Zach Wilson. Unfortunately, Zach Wilson is a rookie right now. We're going to see those mistakes that we saw this past week. And so Bridgewater is more of a veteran player. And for that reason, I'm going with Cortland Sutton. Number 12, Miami at Las Vegas. Miami wide receiver Jalen Waddle or Las Vegas wide receiver Henry Ruggs III?
So I feel that the Raiders don't use Ruggs, very similar to how I've made the argument that Dallas doesn't use Amari Cooper well. And I obviously have a lot of protection over my Bama boys, so I know what they're capable of. So that was I just said I put 18 syllables on the word capable there. So that's right there. But I am going with Henry Ruggs on this one solely because Tua is not playing on Sunday, to my knowledge. Again, anyone else want?
We also didn't put this in our quarterback injury roundup, but Derek Carr is actually potentially a little bit banged up. I think he's expected to play, but he's not 100% healthy either. I think I went with Henry Ruggs III. I'm kind of giving it to Ruggs, just the fact that he has that one extra year of NFL experience already under his belt. And I like a banged up Derek Carr better than I like a banged up Tua. And we'll see. That's going to be a factor when it gets closer to the game. Who's more healthy, that will play a factor as well. Number 13, Seattle at Minnesota. Do we like Seattle wide receiver DK Metcalf or Minnesota wide receiver Justin Jefferson?
Listen, I love Seattle DK Metcalf, but I think right now it's still very prominent that Russell and Tyler Lockett are still connecting, and it's just really good right now. We'll get there with Metcalf for sure, but with that being said, I just think that, Minnesota, Justin Jefferson is a great pick. So I like that a little bit better right now.
I went with Justin Jefferson. These guys are very on par with one another through 2 weeks. But I do have Minnesota as my upset pick over Seattle. And for that reason, what's going to help them upset Seattle? A huge game from Justin Jefferson. So I'm going with him.
Well, we do have some comments on here from our good friend Sosa that Jefferson is better and that Metcalf can't run routes. So honestly, it's
actually, being married to a San Francisco 49ers fan, it pains him that DK Metcalf is good, but he has always said the guy can't run routes.
Right.
So I've heard that a lot before. That's the complaint about DK. He's still a beast.
Well, that's what I was going to say. You can be the strongest, you can be the fastest, but if you can't do that one minor detail, and that one minor detail is running routes, it's going to be pointed out. It's going to say so. And Katie, yes, I don't know if you know, but our good friend Sosa, he is a Niners fan as well. So yes, I knew that. I guess I never told Katie, but yes, he is a Niner fan as well.
Okay. All right. So number 14, Tampa Bay at the Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be a great game. Tampa Bay wide receiver Chris Godwin or Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp?
Listen, I love Cooper Kupp. That's why I pick him every year on fantasy. He went off for me last week. Yeah. I love the relationship that he already has with Matthew Stafford. And I'm not a Matthew Stafford fan. You guys all know that, as you should. I know Katie's really high on him. But we're coming in now, too, that apparently Antonio Brown is on the COVID list. So that actually kind of shoots me in the foot here, because my argument for not picking Chris Godwin was because I know Tom Brady is huge on Antonio Brown, and not even just him, he's huge on Gronk right now. So, all right. So, okay, AB might be on that COVID list, but I'm still bringing my Gronk argument into this. So that is why I'm going with Cooper Kupp on this one.
I wrote Cooper Kupp, and I literally just wrote love the Kupp / Stafford connection. I watched the Rams game last week, and they said in the broadcast that those two actually, I think, show up to practice 2 hours before anybody else, just the two of them together. Yeah. They eat lunch together. They practice together. They do extra practice together. So to me, they've already built this early relationship, and it's showing that kind of extra work that they're putting in together is paying off on the field. I'm going Cooper Kupp.
Well, we just announced an hour ago, Antonio Brown is not playing. So thank you for that.
Fantasy, make sure you make your switch.
Yep.
Number 15, Green Bay at San Fran. We've got Green Bay wide receiver Devontae Adams or San Fran wide receiver Deebo Samuel, who's off to a great start this season as well.
And that's why I picked Deebo. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from 2 weeks. Devontae Adams not really showing us much in the first 2 weeks. So
sorry to Sosa. Sorry to my husband. Deebo has been absolutely phenomenal. And I'm actually a huge Deebo fan. I love the way he plays. But Devontae Adams is the better player. And it's just kind of, some of these are gut feelings where it's like, they got to go off.
But they're throwing it to Aaron Jones. But that's my problem too. They're throwing it to Aaron Jones.
I understand. But Devontae Adams is still Devontae Adams. And to me, it's like a similar thing of like how I expect Steph Diggs to like have his monster game. Like it's still Devontae Adams and he's still going to rack up a lot of monster games. So it was just a gut feeling, this one kind of.
That's fair.
And then last but not least, we are going to our division rivals, Philly at Dallas. Do we like Philadelphia running back Miles Sanders or Dallas running back Ezekiel Elliott?
Listen, I'm saying F it on this one and picking Miles Sanders because Ezekiel Elliott to me is the biggest question mark going into the rest of the 2021 season. Yeah. You cannot start off the season playing. Did you even play against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? I don't think Ezekiel Elliott did. So honestly, like I just have to, I'm honestly, and this might be a push for some people, but I'm going with Sanders on this one because I don't know. We year after year, we come in and we say teams are sketchy and we'll go all this one. Ezekiel Elliott is sketchy for me.
Yeah,
this season.
This is kind of going off of literally what I just said from one pick ago, but I'm going to go with Zeke because it's like this. I feel as though this could be his first big game of the season. It needs to be. He needs to just shut everybody up because I know a lot of people.
But you're Ezekiel Elliott. It's week 3. Come on, like
I understand, but there are guys who have disappointed so far that are not supposed to be disappointing. And I just feel as though this is a game. It's a division game. I don't think Philly is that strong of a team where it's like you got to come in and you got to punch him in the mouth and you've got to be the guy. So,
right.
And honestly, Dak Prescott had a shit game this past week. So, like, somebody's got to get it going. Woo, good game.
It was.
That's all 16, baby. We ran through them.
That was a really good game.
Yes.
Alrighty. Yeah, it is that time. So Zeke looking like a 65 box Chevy out there. Oh boy, I love the commentary. Keep it coming. So it is that time of the episode where we get it off our chest. Positive, negative, football, housewives, wife, wine, first day of fall, whatever you want to get it off your chest to our audience. Katie, why don't you go ahead and get us started?
I'm going to make it super quick because I have to run in a little bit. But Caitlin, I think you're rocking your Eli jersey, right?
Absolutely.
I am as well. You can't see mine, but I am also rocking Mr. Eli Manning. And
for a good reason.
This game this weekend at home against the Atlanta Falcons is going to be the jersey retirement ceremony for Mr. Eli Manning. It is a big one. And basically, short, sweet, and simple, the Giants have to win this game. I told Caitlin before the show, I don't think this is like an option.
No.
Like you just cannot lose, especially coming off of the loss that we just had against Washington and being 0-2. We can't go 0-3 and we cannot go 0-3 on Eli's jersey retirement ceremony. This is a huge one and we need this one real bad. Please don't disappoint. Not just for me, more so do not disappoint my sweet little Eli. So Giants, that's why I picked them also in my picks for week 3. You got to make it happen. I don't see any other way.
If they don't, I will riot at MetLife Stadium. So,
yep.
But
so that's fine.
I'll let you end the show then tonight with that because I 100% agree with you. But I meant I will end the show by telling people. So you just wrapped it up there. 100% agree. Giants have to win. And I know you have to go run and we all have to do our own things tonight, which is fine. So I will wrap it up here. So you do not want to miss Real Housewives of Beverly Hills is on tonight at 8 p.m. If you guys are watching live right now or a little bit early, so you can catch that. Real Housewives of Potomac is on Sundays at 8 p.m. Salt Lake City is now back on Sundays at 9 p.m. I actually have to catch up. I'll probably catch up tonight on episode 2. The NFL Week 3. Thursday Night Football is tomorrow night. Thursday, September 23rd, we have Carolina at Houston. Sunday Night Football is the Green Bay Packers at the San Francisco 49ers. It's going to be a phenomenal game. And then also we have a division matchup on Monday Night Football. Katie and I will clearly be watching this very, very closely. You have the Philadelphia Eagles at the Dallas Cowboys. This week for college football, the big games you do not want to miss. You have number 12 Notre Dame versus number 18 Wisconsin on Saturday at 12 p.m. and number 7 Texas A&M versus number 16 Arkansas at 3:30 p.m. Those games are both on Saturday. You do not want to miss them. I have to see when Alabama plays. I don't even know, to be honest. So they're playing sometime. So they had a great win against Florida last week. So sometime. But that being said, thank you all so much for joining us for another episode as we enter into week 3 of the NFL. Holy guacs. I can't believe it's 3 weeks already, but I'm loving the football. But thank you guys.
Happy fall, everyone.
Happy fall, y'all. That should be the title of this episode, but we'll catch you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye.